Okay, we've got a video here on the renewal appointment setting process. This relates to what the customer service department does on a daily basis, and this is to help our associates in the dispatch and marketing department prep for their level 2 test that we're going to be doing over the winter of 2017-18. So moving on here, specifically, again, all relates really to setting renewals. We're going to talk about the renewal rate and cancellation rate, which are two very important concepts that we use in managing the company as a whole, managing the renewal process, and how we're doing. And we're going to talk about tracking the renewal appointments, so we know which appointments we need to set or reset, or which ones have been produced or canceled, and then talk a little bit about the cancellation process. And with this, probably the best way to explain a lot of this is just doing some examples. So we've got some accounts set up in our test system, and I'm going to do some mock transactions. So here we go. Moving on here to the renewal and cancellation rate. And our company business model is based on putting as many ICs under contract as possible, and then we want to renew them every single year. And so really our goal, I have here 1 and 2, is to maximize the number of renewals each year. And the inverse of that, we want to minimize the renewal cancellations. And so it's something that we need to track and put have a statistic or some numbers to show how we're doing with this. So we've got a concept called the renewal rate. And basically that is, you take the number of renewals that you complete, whether it's in a year or by month, week, and you divide it by the number of renewals that you started with, that you had available to run, and that gives you the renewal rate. And it's a very important measure of our company profitability, and I highlighted that in red, because the higher the renewal rate it's a strong correlation to how we're performing as a company, is specifically related to overall customer service, not just the customer service department and what they do in trying to set the renewals, but it's about it begins with the initial experience the customer has with our marketing department, and then their experience with the technicians. Is usually multiple appointments during the year. It's not just an IC or renewals, it's reservices, it's specialty services. They could be talking to dispatch about different things. So there's so much that goes into the customer service experience, and at the end of the day, the way to measure it is the renewal rate. How many of our customers are renewing? So just a quick example, I think after seeing this, everybody will get what I'm talking about. Is let's say we started with 100 renewals to set, and then out of that 100 you renew 85 of them, and thus the 15 that don't renew cancel their contract. So the renewal rate is 85%. It's 85 divided by the 100 that you had to set originally. And then the cancellation rate, it's 15 divided by the 100. So you hear a lot. I try to always focus on renewal rate just to be a little more positive. But like I said, the inverse of that is the cancellation rate. And again, both of them really do a good job of explaining how we are doing as a company, and we measure it throughout the year, and it's really based on month, weeks, and service zone codes, which I'm going to talk about next. But again, it's very important metric. It's vital to measuring the performance of this company. So month, week, most of you are probably familiar with this, but there may be some associates in either marketing or dispatch maybe that aren't really familiar with this. So I want to go over this real quick. We need to, we have all these renewals, and we need a way to schedule them or decide when we're going to try to set them throughout the year. And we do that based on their, original contract anniversary date. So what we do is we assign a month week based on, again, this anniversary date where the month is equal to the month of the contract, and then the week equals which week of the month the contract falls in. So obviously, as everybody knows, there's 12 months in a year. So the number for the month is going to be a 1 through a 12, and then there's approximately 4 weeks in a month. So the weeks are going to be 1 through 4. And the month is always the first number, and the week is the second number. Again, here are some examples. I think the best way to explain this. If someone signed up, got their initial contract on January 5th, 2017, their month week is going to be 1-1. The first one there is for the month of January, and then the second one, January 5th, the 5th of the month falls in the first week, so it's 1-1. If they were to go under contract December 28th of 2016, it would be a 1-2-4. We usually say like December week 4, but again, month is 12, the week is number 4, based on where December 28th falls. March 10th, 2015 would be 32, March week 2, 3 for March 2, second week of the month. October 18th, October 10th month of the year, 3 for the third week of the month. Let's see, August 31st, 2008 would be August week 4. So you'll hear in this presentation as I show some examples where we are deciding when to schedule the renewals, or and then also how we're going to track them based on the month week, and also how we assign them to different representatives in the customer service department. Okay, so again, the renewal process relates to the month week. Again, it's based on the 1-year anniversary date, because the contracts are annual contracts, so you're going to want to renew them is before the contract expires. So you're trying to do it approximately 1 year from the annual contract date. And most people are familiar with this concept, just like insurances. If you have your auto insurances, well, most of those are semi-annual. But let's say you had an insurance contract for 1 year, it's going to have an anniversary date, and you're going to be required to renew it before the anniversary date. So again, if anniversary date is March 10th, 2015, month week is March week 2. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to set those renewals sometime between January 10th and May 10th, or set and run the renewals and complete them. That way, again, there's about a window of about, you got 2 months before and 2 months after that expiration date that we're trying to get it completed. And we actually do it, as far as measuring it, we do it by month week and say, okay, for month week, March week 2, and then we also do it by service zone code. So we'd also include, like, say, VV for Virginia Beach or VR for Richmond, and have a number of what the renewal rate and cancellation rates are for those times for again the service zone code and the month week, and then we compare those year after year. So again, just to review real quick what I just talked about. Again, we're going to set renewals based on the month week and the service zone code. That determines basically the time of year when we're going to schedule the renewals. Again, it's really and it's all based on the anniversary date. And again, the goal, what we're trying to do as a company, is maximize the number of renewals completed, which would be the renewal rate, or the renewals that are produced, and minimize the ones that are canceled. And again, the way we measure it is via the renewal rate and the cancellation rate. Okay, so as far as, once we start working renewals, and we have a process in the vision where it's all automated as far as setting up the, where we start working renewals. Basically there's statuses that we track throughout the renewal process. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen is all the renewals are either end up being produced, or the renewal appointment is being completed, or they're going to be canceled. The customer is going to request to cancel the contract, or could be a situation where we can't contact them and we have to cancel the contract. So and there's other status too. Once we set it up in the system to start working a certain month, week, the initial status is pending. The renewal is ready to be set. Once it is set, the status changes to set, and that's basically the appointment is scheduled and waiting to run. Again, produced, that's been completed. TBRST, to be reset. That means the renewal has been set, but something happened. The customer called in, said they couldn't run that or couldn't, be there for that initial appointment. So then we, have to reset it. Could also be something on our end. Maybe a technician was out, or, maybe there was a weather issue the day we couldn't get the appointment run. So then it would be assigned TBRST. All of the first four statuses are computed automatically as the renewal is set and produced or posted during the renewal process. And I'm going to demonstrate, how that works. Okay, so specifically some of the things that we're going to be showing, or I'm going to show with the demo, is one thing we're going to look at the customer renewal cube, info cube, and that's basically, the list that the renewal department filters the renewals from, or basically it's a customer list. They filter the renewals so they know which ones that they're going to be working on a given day or week and setting those appointments. They are also going to talk about the renewal info tab on the customer card. This is basically the customer renewal information. We'll go through that. Talk about a little bit about the process of renewal being on or off. When it's on, that means we're actually working the renewal. Then we're going to go through one of the most important concepts, I think, in this video, and something that everyone will be tested on, is the process of attaching the renewal contract to the service order, which allows for the automatic tracking of the renewals, as the appointments are set or allocated or deallocated or produced. So this is something, again, everybody really needs to take note of, is this attaching or linking the renewal contract to a service order. Then the last thing we're going to cover with this is the cancellation process, and look at things like the cancellation date, cancellation reasons, and whether an account is PIC eligible, just to make sure, especially for people in marketing. I know you guys are using the same renewal info tab that customer service is using, but just want you to see how we get to the cancellation that you guys are working for PICs. So now that we've gone through the presentation, let's pull up the test company. So this is a test company we have that's basically a replica of the Maryland card, the same similar data to the Maryland company. And from this, we can go in and do some test transactions. So the first thing we'll do is we'll look at the renewal info cube. And so if you were going to, you're in customer service and you're going in to set, renewals, this is where you go to basically get a list of the renewals that you need to work. So I click here, and basically you've got a list of all these columns here. You've got customer number, this is the contract numbers, month, week, plan status, whether it's active or inactive, the type of plan, the price, the renewal status, and then cancellation date, cancellation reason. This is, for everyone in marketing, you're familiar with this because this is things you're filtering by for PICs. Then you've got service plan date, expiration date, marketing status, marketing plan set. This on or off is whether, is whether the renewal is we're working it or not. If it's checked on, we're working that month, week. If it's off, we're not working it. Then everybody here is, I'm sure, familiar with the service zone codes, subzone code. A couple service order. It actually shows when there is a service order set for the renewal. It shows the service order number, and then we've got the contract number. And then we also have, I'm not going to get into it in this video, but we've also have some functionality set up so we can assign the month, weeks to the actual rep in customer service that they're going to work. So let's say Sharon is going to be assigned Maryland month, week 121. We can assign that to her, and then she can pull up the actual month weeks that are specifically assigned to her. Then we also have a field here where she can check, or a checkbox where she can check the ones that she's called, so she can keep track of, who she needs to call next. But again, you're not going to be tested on that. I just wanted to, show everybody that that's in there. So anyway, the first thing, you would do, again, if you're not going to pull it up by your assigned rep, again, since we do work the renewals by month weeks, what you would do is you'd want to pull up the month week that you want to set renewals for. So let's say that we want to work on December week 1, which would be 121. So I would filter by 121, December week 1. And then it's only going to show the renewals that have the month week 121. And then also I'm only going to want to work the ones that are active. You don't want to work, inactive means that they don't have an active contract. So then I just want to show the ones that are active. So you can see that here. Now why don't we go and let's look at one of the concepts where a lot of this information, or basically all of it's coming from, the Renewal Info tab. Let's take a look at that, for a few minutes. So everybody, I think that'll help everybody understand what's going on here. So I'm going to click, we've got this customer here, MD01502. I'm going to click on their customer card. Okay, and we're going to scroll down and take a look at the Renewal Info tab, which is on their customer card. And so you can see here, this is where we keep the information as far as their annual contract and what the status of it is, whether it's active or inactive. You see plan status. Each contract is assigned a line number. Then they have a plan type, which determines what type of contract. You can see this one is TP. Again, you select from a list of contract types. We've got the renewal price, and then their initial service plan date or anniversary date, then the corresponding month week. And then it also has the renewal status that we've talked about before, whether it's pending, produced, canceled, set, or to be reset. Then once you get a little bit further along, we'll talk about this later, you have the cancellation date, cancellation reason, and the marketing status. So one thing I want everybody to be aware of, and you will be tested on this, is that we have functionality set up in the system so that anytime that this information is edited, the system tracks based on your user login, anyone that's edited, any fields on this tab. That way we can all ensure that this information here is always accurate. Laurie and Stacy are the only two associates who are, at this point, who have the authority to go in and edit this tab. So basically we have a report that we run every day to see if there's any changes to the Renewal Info tab made by anybody except Laurie and Stacy. So that again allows us to keep this information accurate and maintain its integrity. But anytime that if we put a new customer under contract or we cancel one, we're going in and changing the annual contract information, based on this Renewal Info tab. And then this is what is used, or where the information on the customer, that customer renewal info cube, that's where that list, all the information is tied to the information on the renewal tab on the customer card. Okay, so we had this account here, so now I want to go in, I want to just show the difference between on and off, and then we're going to come back to this account here, and we're going to set a renewal so everybody can see how the renewal tracking works. So notice here again, I set it up where we're working month week of December week 1. These renewals are marked as on, and there's a process behind the scenes that I do personally. I'm not going to demo it here, but when we turn the renewals on, and what it does when you turn them on, it sets all of the statuses to pending. because again, that's the initial status for the renewals. Sets the statuses to pending, and then you can actually work the renewals. If we were to pull up month week of 1, 2, 3, which would be December week 3, notice none of these renewals are marked as on. So that's a clue. If you're, in the customer service department, you're, assigned a month week and you're working. If you don't see these boxes checked, that's a big red flag that you shouldn't be, working those renewals. So now let's go back to December week 1. Whoops, it's 1, 2, 1. Okay, and notice here, again, I've talked about how important it is that we track, whether the renewal's produced, set, pending, because this first one here has been produced, so you wouldn't even, no need to even, do anything with this one. It's basically, its status has been completed. So you want to focus, and really the same thing with set, means it's waiting to be run. So if you're working a certain month week like this one, MC, Maryland, December week 1, you want to focus on the ones that are pending or TBRST, because those are the ones that you can set. If a renewal status was canceled, you wouldn't want to bother with that one either, because again, you don't need to set the appointment. One thing I want to show, just to give everybody an idea of how we track these, is this renewal status summary. So I'm clicking on that here, and so I'm going to put in December week 1 and then service zone code of MC. Okay, notice here it tells you how many are pending, produced, set, and TBRST. Eventually, you'll end up with where all of these are pending, or either produced or canceled. Because you keep working the pending and TBRST till you get everything set, and eventually it's either going to go through production or it's not. And if it doesn't go through, or if the customer requests, it ends up being canceled. Okay, so let's go and set up a renewal here, because I want to demonstrate how these renewal statuses update automatically based on setting, resetting, or posting a renewal. So we'll start here with this MD1502. We'll click on their customer card here, but you can also create a service order directly from the Renewal Info tab. So let's take a look at their renewal info. So they've got a 1-year termite and pest control, anniversary dates December 1st, 2004, month week of December week 1, and it's pending. So this is one, we need to set this appointment. So what you can do is you can create the service order here. Okay, so now we've got an open service order, and notice here that you can see the renewal info tab on the service order. Again, note renewal status of pending. So we're going to go now, and we're going to create a renewal line for, or not a renewal line, we're going to create a service item for renewal. Okay, so here's the renewal. Okay, notice here it says please select renewal line number for service order for service item before continuing. What that is saying is that we need to go to this renewal line number here, and this is on the service item lines on the renewal for the renewal. Click here. Now you see the actual contract information from the renewal info tab for this customer, and you need to select it here. This is linking the service order to the renewal info tab, and specifically to track this renewal status, because it's now, we've automated the process where, again, it's based on the setting, resetting, or producing the appointment. So there is no, really, it's just an automated process. Before we went to this system, it was a manual process where you had to count, renewal sheets every day. Those who were around, 2-3 years ago remember this, but now it's automated. So, but in order for the automated tracking to work, you have to, select the renewal contract. So the basic rule of thumb, and again, everybody's going to be tested on this, is if you have a renewal item selected in a service order, you have to go in, find the contract, and attach it. Okay. So anyway, so I'm going to go set the appointment now, and I'm ignoring a bunch of stuff or skipping a bunch of steps because I really just want to focus on getting the appointment set and showing everybody how this status, renewal status, changes. So let's say, again, now we're just going to ignore payment information, payment plan. Let's just set this renewal. So we go to Resource Allocations. Okay, and we see the schedule here. We got Luis on December 12th, and he's got a 10 a.m. So we'll set this one for 10 a.m. So we select the 10, hit Auto Allocate. Okay, you see the hours are selected. You hit OK. All right, let's scroll up real quick. Just make sure the appointment information is in here, which it is. Now let's go look. See the renewal status, it was pending. Now it's changed to set. So we know that this, now you can look at just, we know the renewal is set. We know where it is in the renewal process. So if we go back to the renewal info queue, here we go. Here's this account MD1502. Notice it's changed to set here. And if you look, go to the renewal status summary, month, week of 1/2/1, put in the service zone code. Now we've got 2 set. It was 1 before. Now I want to demonstrate what happens if, let's say, the customer calls in and says that they need to reschedule, they're going out of town, they'll call us when they get back. So we go back here, you can actually go straight to the service order. So you notice here, we've got a service order showing here. Again, this is all based on attaching that contract. So we go just to View Service Order. Okay. So now we're going to go and actually edit it. And again, notice that Renewal Info tab, the status is set. What I'm going to do is go here and deallocate the appointment. It's saying, are you sure you want to deallocate? Yes. Now notice the renewal status changes to TBRST, to be reset. And then we go back to the renewal info cube, it's changed here. And then you can look at the renewal status summary and see that this is updated as well. So now it went from set to TBRST. And again, looking at these numbers, you know exactly how many, that need to be really worked or called, because that's the number of pending and the number that are to be reset. But again, I can't emphasize enough that all of that is based on attaching the contract line. So we're going to do one more. We'll show one more, and then with this one, we'll actually set it and then produce it. So you can see how the renewal info tab changes with that process. So let's do this one here, MD02346. Okay, so we're going to their customer card. Okay, again, this one's got a 1-year contract, anniversary date of December 12th, 2013. It's marked as on. So we're going to create a service order. Okay, let's select the renewal. And again, we're going to ignore a bunch of the steps here, just focusing on, the renewal tracking process. So if we go to service item template, select the renewal. Again, this is a reminder to select the renewal line. So here we go. Notice here the standard price for the renewal is $356, but their contract is for $366. So as soon as you select the renewal line, contract price changes automatically. So again, just renewal status of pending. Okay, now let's set the appointment. Go up here to resource allocations. Okay, and we've got Jonathan has a 9 o'clock available on December 11th, so we'll select that one. Auto allocate the hours, hit OK. Again, now notice status has changed to set. Now let's move a little bit further along, and again, I'm skipping about 50 different steps. But let's say this goes through production, and we need to post it. So most of us are familiar. You've got different target pests and different things. You got to fill out the payment information, the billing code, and then put in the chemicals. Again, I'm not going to do all of that, but that's what dispatch's procedure would be. But then so you're going to go in and post this. Again, status is set. We go in and post this service order. Okay, it takes us back to their customer card. And then if you, that's not the right one. That's not the right customer card. Here we go. Now here's the correct customer. Notice now the renewal status is produced on their customer card. So just by the fact that you posted the service order, since we linked the service order to the renewal info tab, it shows this is being produced. So we know that this contract, based on the fact that it's checked, we are currently working it. It has been produced, and basically with this one we would be done. Going back to the renewal info information, you can see now this has been changed to produced. So that's how, again, we track the service orders, and where they end up, or for where they are in the renewal process. So Just again, looking at this renewal status summary again, just want everybody to be aware, that we are tracking these, and knowing where we stand or where the renewals stand. Now we've got 2 produced, 25 pending, 1 is set, and 2 are to be reset. One thing too that if you were working this month week, you would want to do is you may want to filter. You don't want to the ones that are set or produced. You don't want to work those, but you may just want to work the ones that are set or TBRST. You can go in and filter by those statuses. You can put in pending. I think this will work. And TBRST. Yep. And it only shows you the ones that are pending or TBRST. So you're not even seeing the ones that are, set, produced, or canceled. One thing I want to do is go to the live system. And show you what some of the month weeks look like that are a little bit further along where, we've been working them for a couple months. So I'm going to the customer renewal cube, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the renewal status of, say, September week 4 for service zone code of MC. So you can see here we got 38 produced, 10 canceled. Let's do another one. Let's do October week 1. See here, 46 produced, 10. So you can see there's no pending, no set. So basically, we've actually completed this month week. They all are either going to end up as produced or canceled. Then we can calculate the cancellation rate. That's 46. You really started with 56 to work. So 46 divided by 56, I think that's about 80%, maybe a little bit over 80%. That would be your cancellation rate. So again, going back to the live system. Anyway, that's basically what you're doing. So you start working a month week, and then you basically go through the list, the ones that are pending, TBRST. You try to set those so they end up either being produced, or if not, unfortunately, then we have the ones that are canceled. Okay, so let's whoops. So now we'll turn and do a little bit with the cancellation process. I'm actually going to go back. I didn't mean to click out of that cube there, but we'll show what would happen. Just the basics with some that end up being canceled, and unfortunately, we do have those. It's hanging up on me here for a second. Hopefully, here we go. Come on. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's go back to the one we've been working on, which would be the active customers for month week of December week 1. Okay, and let's say we've got one here that's pending. We'll do this one MD0. It's like 2456. and we'll create a service order. Okay, and then going to go through again, service item template. Here's the renewal. Okay, got to attach the contract. Okay, so it's right again, skipping over a bunch of steps, but let's say, so one of our reps from customer service calls this lady, I think it's Heather Davis, and let's say she says that she has, that she is, let's say she sold the home. So what we'll do is just go here to cancellation reason. Let's see, why don't we get away? Should allow me to choose. Here we go. No, that's not it. Hang on, sorry, I'm just trying to get this selected here. Oh, it's not. Okay, it's not allowing me to edit from here. Maybe I have to go back to the customer card. But anyway, what you would do is, I guess you do have to do it from the customer card. That's my mistake, sorry. But you want to go to the customer card if they say that they want to cancel. And here we go. So here you can edit the renewal info tab. And so that they would do is put in a cancellation date. And then a reason. And again, let's say this one is sold home. So then also, I'm not sure if it would really apply to this since it's, it's a sold home. This owner is no longer in the house, but you would put whether it would be PIC eligible. And usually, everything is PIC eligible except for bad debt. That's one reason. Maybe there could be another, circumstance with the customer. We would not want to put them back under contract. But, this is where you show whether or not, it is eligible, again, for a PIC to put back under contract when marketing starts working the list. Then also, you would change the renewal status to canceled. So the rest of the statuses, are automated based on setting or resetting the appointment or posting the service order. This one here is, one where you have to edit it manually. So let's do one more. Let's say this one here, we'll pick this one, MD05645. All right, now I'm not even going to go through the process of creating the well, I will create the service order just to real quick, just so everybody can see it again. Just again, everybody just can't emphasize enough how important it is attaching the contracts. Okay, so again, it's reminding us to select the renewal line. Okay, and again, let's say this one, just says that, they just don't want it. Or let's say this one's one we can't contact, that we can't get a hold of them. So in that case, again, you go here to renewal status, change it to cancel, put in a cancellation date, and the reason. And let's say this was one, no contact. Okay, in this case, yes, it would be PIC eligible. And then the final step, again, this portion here is being done by customer service department, is putting in a cancellation reason. They're also putting in on the customer card notes, whether it's the call log or a note field, maybe some more specifics as to what happened. But the final step in the cancellation process would be when we inactivate the account, and you would change the renewal, the plan status from active to inactive, on the renewal info tab. And again, keep in mind, like I said, we track anybody who's making changes, to this card. So anybody who's changing any, like the plan status, plan type, description, or renewal price, we know who's doing it. And again, we make sure that only authorized personnel are making the changes. But let's go back and look real quick. Now we've put in some cancels. Go back to our renewal info. And again, you're going to filter it. Okay, we want December week 1. Okay, now we've got 2 cancels in there. You can see the cancellation date and the reason. And if you go to the renewal status summary, you can see now we've got 2 that are canceled. And again, eventually, we'll be checking these lists to end up, because you'll end up where everything is either produced or canceled, and then you can calculate the cancellation rate or the renewal rate from here. And again, we have all, again, we track that information, compare it year over year, and go back for years and able to compare how we're doing renewal rate or cancellation rate. So I think that covers the basics, of the renewal tracking in setting the renewals. Again, this process of knowing where they stand, what the renewal status is, and eventually ending up to a point where they're produced or canceled, and then going back to the customer card and the renewal info tab, in tracking or knowing, whether it's an active customer, whether they're active or inactive, what type of plan, what the renewal price is, anniversary date. It's basically, you're tracking the renewals. At the end of the day, it's going to show here whether or not they're under contract, or then if they've been canceled, you have the cancellation reasons here. So I think that covers just about everything that that associates in either dispatch or marketing will need to know as far as the level 2 test, as far as the renewal setting process.